What's up, Detroit? This is Tommy and Brendan back with the Riles and Riley Rundown. Okay, halfway through the season now. Lions win against the Jaguars last week. Don't really know what we can take out of that game. I mean, we all thought me and Brendan both called it. We said that it was going to be a blowout. I don't remember what I said, but I think I almost had the right score. 31-14 was the final. I'm pretty sure I said something right around that.
Yeah,
I think I said 35-14.
I'd actually like to go back and check that.
Yeah.
You know what? Now that you say that, I think I had 31.
Yeah, I mean,
I think I had 31-17.
Yeah,
we were both in that area.
Yeah, but we both called it. Blaine Gabbert played. He looked like he basically didn't even have an arm yesterday. I thought
Blaine
he was hurt.
Gabbert, from my point of view, is gonna be a bust.
Yeah, definitely.
You can't, like you said, you can't take a whole lot out of that game.
No.
What you can take out of that game, in my opinion, is that you have now seen two back-to-back offensive performances.
Yeah.
Yes, this was against probably the worst defense in the league, but they weren't showing great offensive performances against bad teams. Then they had a good one against Tennessee. You've got the momentum going now.
Yep. One thing I really liked is we showed a really good offensive performance, and Stafford and Calvin didn't have a touchdown. It was all on the running game this time. LaShore, obviously, we can put it out there. LaShore tore up the game with 3 touchdowns.
Well, and didn't he have the fourth? Or was that Bell?
No, that was Bell that had the fourth one.
Well, the thing about Calvin I want to mention, and I'm sure you're reasonable, but I heard people calling in at 97-1 today. Multiple people that were upset that Calvin still hasn't gotten another touchdown.
No.
I mean...
He could have had one yesterday.
Here's my thing. One, he could have had one. But two, once they got in the red zone, they didn't throw it.
Right.
They didn't.
Nope.
And that was fine. It worked well. But you really can't blame him for having 7 receptions for 129 yards. He didn't really touch the ball in the second half, which was probably smart. Being injured, I'll tell you this much. If that was against a good team in a close game, he probably would have gotten 10 to 15 receptions.
Yep.
Because he was getting them early. And then in the end of the game, when they didn't need him, they didn't want to hurt him.
Yep.
And you got to stay careful with a guy who's injured.
I agree. One thing I'm going to throw out there, Riley Reef, I think he is making a lot bigger of an impact than everybody's noticing. Our run game is all of a sudden, honestly, all of a sudden the run game is actually one of the best assets on this team.
Almost texted you about one play. I don't remember where it was in the game, and I didn't notice it on the original play. But Riley Reef lined up at that position where he's an eligible tight end, even though he's never going to go for it.
Yep.
They put him in motion, and somebody else pulled. The guard pulled. The guy who was on the guard spot came right in.
Yep.
And Riley Reef went right at his legs, took him out, and I believe it was a run play. It was a run play to the opposite side where the guard pulled to.
Yeah.
And I believe it was LaShore broke that play for one of his biggest plays of the game. I almost texted you because that was a great block by Riley Reef that really opened up a 10-yard run.
Yep.
I do agree, and you're not seeing Broyles, which is funny because just 2 weeks ago, you were really starting to get frustrated with the fact you weren't seeing either of them very much.
Yep. And Broyles you're seeing now too. And Broyles actually had a few really good catches yesterday. As far as when he needed to catch the ball, he was there. I mean, Stafford was looking at him on third down a lot, and he became a third down receiver yesterday. I mean, I think he made 3 catches on third down,
Broyles,
which kept the
actually,
drive
alive. That is most of his receptions have came on third down so far this year.
Yep.
But the biggest thing that I see in Broyles, I don't know how to describe it. He has that. I'm not saying he's ever going to be an elite receiver, but he seems to have that elite receiver mentality that he catches that ball no matter where. Like he really. Has he dropped the ball, really?
I don't know. I really don't.
I mean, he hasn't been given the toughest, but he hasn't really dropped the ball. And when he gets that ball, he is explosive.
Yesterday,
fast.
He was targeted 6 times, caught all 6 for 52 yards. And he's honestly doing right now what I thought Titus Young was going to do when he came in the league. He's becoming that basically slot receiver, even though he's not lining up in the slot very often. A lot of times he is lining up on the other side of Calvin right now. I mean, when Mike Thomas gets into the swing of things, Mike Thomas is going to be lining up on the outside. But Broyles right now is doing what I would like to see Titus Young do because Titus Young has a little bit more speed than
the unfortunate story here is that I do believe Titus Young and Ryan Broyles both have the potential to be that player.
Yeah. And you got to pick one.
But basically. It's tough when you got... And you know what? I'm still okay that we took Broyles. I don't think I'll ever be really upset that we took Broyles unless he just leaves or Titus Young leaves and it kind of ruins the entire purpose.
Yeah.
But I want to see them both get involved more. Because here's my thing, is that Calvin... if Calvin was giving dominating performances, I would understand that they're not going to get the ball.
Yeah.
But you know what? You are seeing it more the last 2 weeks, so I don't mind. How many receptions did Titus Young have? Couple.
Titus Young went 2 receptions for 20 yards.
A little lower than I'd like to see, but it's not. I mean, you are getting him the ball a little bit.
I will say one of Titus Young's balls, it should have been 3 for 20 or 3 for 25 with a touchdown because the one pass from Stafford was so money. I mean, it was right in his hands.
And speaking of that, that's the other thing that you're seeing that you weren't seeing earlier. Stafford still looks scared in the pocket.
Yeah.
But he seemed to be struggling early on with leading the receivers. He's still putting the ball a little too high sometimes.
Yep.
But he was really struggling with leading the receivers early on, putting the ball behind him a lot.
Yeah.
And you're starting to see him put the ball in the right spot. And as much as we say that was a bad defense, where the quarterback puts the ball doesn't really have a whole lot to do with a bad defense.
Nope. We're gonna try something new this week. Trying to get the post game shows a little bit longer, just to run up the time a little bit. Player of the game this week. Brendan, go ahead with yours. Whoever you want to pick.
I mean, honestly, I'd like to go Calvin Johnson, but I don't see how you can go anybody but Mikel Shore with 3 touchdowns.
Yeah. Mine's going to be a little bit underrated because I think that he had almost as big of an impact as LaShore, but maybe not as he didn't produce as much. But I'm going to go with Joik Bell.
I had a feeling that's where you were going.
13 carries for 73 yards, and also he had 3 receptions for 36 yards. I mean, that's almost basically 100 yards total offense, plus he had the touchdown. I really like what Joik Bell's been doing this season.
Although I still want to see Kevin Smith more. We did mention last week, and I saw it again this week, they are getting him in the game, which is good.
Yeah.
And I really do want to see all 3 be involved. I'd like to see Kevin Smith get a little more involved. But Joik Bell really is showing something. That was a topic, not even just him being an underrated player for this game, but him as a overall.
Yep.
I wanted to get to talk.
I think we're starting to see.
Bit.
I mean, it might have been against Jacksonville, but I'm starting to think that we're going to start seeing Mikel Shore become a pretty prolific NFL back. I think he has a lot of potential.
I do too. I don't think he'll ever be I don't think he'll be a star because he's on a pass first team.
True.
But I do think he can be what we need. I think he can be a 100-yard a game kind of guy.
Yeah.
But about Joik Bell, like I said, I wanted to get to him a little bit. A play where he didn't even get a reception, but something that really impressed me as a receiver was the overthrow by Matt Stafford. I think it was like a 3rd and 4 to the sideline. Joik Bell made a play on the ball. He had to turn his body, jump, and dragged his toes.
Yep.
You very rarely see running backs with the presence of mind to
a lot of times you don't see
your
receivers
right
with presence of mind. I mean, there were
especially young ones.
Yeah, I think it was one of our wide receivers as a matter of fact.
No, it was a Jacksonville receiver.
Yeah, it was Jacksonville. Yeah, he probably had a 25, 30-yard game, but instead he decided to not get his second foot down. And
but I mean, you don't see. I mean, he's a young running back. He's a big running back.
Yep.
The thing I like about Joik Bell is not just heart, but it's I guess you can call it heart, but he's determined. It seems he's determined to have a lasting career in the NFL.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking. I'm thinking
he does those little things that, like dragging your toes. You know what? He wasn't successful. It didn't work. But coaches see that and they say, you know what? This guy's giving me everything he has.
Yep.
And Joik Bell's doing that, and it really does make a difference. And he had that one carry. I don't know if you remember what I'm talking about. He had a carry where he only picked up a few yards. But, I mean, he was just about to hit the ground, managed to spin, and I don't even know. He was hardly standing straight up and picked up an extra yard or two, which doesn't look like much. But, you know, those extra yards are important.
Yep. All right. Now that we've pretty much covered this entire game. It was a pretty blowout. I mean,
actually, I want to get to the defense just a little bit.
Yeah, that's what I was actually going to segue into. I think for this next portion, let's go ahead and preview basically the second half of the season, kind of thing.
Well, let's get to I want to get to the defense, right. And then we'll do a little bit more of a preview since we're halfway through the season.
Right.
But some people, in my opinion, I said this early on in the year or something else. I think some people are being too optimistic about the defense because this was Jacksonville, a really weak offense without their best player. But I think some people are being pessimistic and saying, we've played nobody. But going into the season, we didn't think we were going to do that well against nobody.
No, yeah, I agree.
You are going to struggle against the top teams, but as long as your offense picks it up and your defense plays mediocre, you're okay. And you got to keep in mind, Drayton Florence hopefully should be back soon. I haven't heard any news on him, but I believe he's eligible.
They said that he's coming back this week
to play.
He's supposed to be.
I thought he was only practice. Yeah, he's practice eligible this week.
Right. Yeah.
And that could make a huge impact because Chris Houston's looked pretty good for the most part. I gotta say, I didn't like Jonte Green, but he looked good against Jacksonville. Of course, Jacksonville, but he looked good.
Right.
And you get Drayton Florence back in the mix if you can stay healthy, which is a big if. this secondary is improving at the right time.
Yeah. Where I was segueing in, yes, the defense has looked great. I actually brought up a point to one of my buddies yesterday. The defense has looked really good. We didn't expect it at all. However, where I need to see the defense perform is now. Go back for the beginning of the season. We've gone through the half the season, so we can do this now. Who is the best quarterback that we faced so far?
Jay Cutler.
Yeah, and Jay Cutler's not even a prime quarterback unless he basically comes out or plays out of his mind. This second half is where you have to start. This is where you're really going to start seeing
Aaron Rodgers.
You got Houston's quarterback, David
David Carr.
Not David Carr.
Matt Schaub.
Matt Schaub. There you go. It slipped my mind for a
going
second.
back there.
Anyway, Matt Schaub, Aaron Rodgers, Andrew Luck. You can even throw into the mix right now. I mean, the guy just threw for 450 yards. Arizona, obviously not a good quarterback. Matt Ryan. And
Those are the big ones.
again.
Matt Ryan, Aaron Rodgers, Matt Schaub.
Yeah.
And like I said, you can throw Andrew Luck in there.
Yeah. So, I mean, this second half is definitely going to be a test, more so on the defense. Because now, honestly, when you look at it, the only team that has a really potent defense that you can throw into this is Chicago, Houston, maybe Arizona. I mean,
Atlanta's been pretty.
Atlanta's been pretty good, but I mean, Arizona is probably one of the more elite defenses that you heard about at the beginning of the season, but now they're even starting to fall off. So
I think those are your big three: is Atlanta, Houston, and Chicago.
This might be where you see your flip flop. You might see the offense start shining a little bit more now, and see the defense take a step back. But don't think that just because the defense takes a step back that anything's going to be wrong with that. I mean, the defense is going to be going up against some of the best offenses in football now.
Now, like you said, we can, for the most part, I think, get into a preview. Yeah. I want to start with making this point. I still do not believe the Lions are going to make the playoffs. I think their chances are improved. And after the loss to, I don't remember who it was, I believe it was to Minnesota, what I said is you needed to go on at least a 3 to 4 game winning streak. You're on a 2 right now. You need to beat Minnesota. That's I don't think that's a question. You can live with losing to Green Bay, but it would really hurt. I believe you need to win the next 2 games, and then we can really start talking playoffs. Yep. You get yourselves to 6-4, you can start talking playoffs. And before I let you get into what you have to say, the big thing I want to mention, and me and Tom have talked about it multiple times, we may have even mentioned it on the show, is your big 5 games left are Atlanta, Green Bay twice, Chicago, and Houston. Those are your 5 toughest games. Out of those 5 games, let's assume 10-6 get you into the playoffs. It may not.
Chicago at the end of the season.
Let's assume that it gets you into the playoffs. 4 out of those 5 games are at home. The only one that's not is away in Green Bay. If you take 3 out of those 5, there's your 2 losses, and then you have to beat Minnesota, winnable, which I believe you should win. Indy, you should win, and Arizona, you should win.
Yep.
If you take the wins you need, then you need to take 3 out of the 5 tough ones, and that'll be a big thing in showing us what this team really is. Because last year they couldn't beat good teams. This year they're going to have to.
I'm on the fence with the Lions making the playoffs. I'm the same way. I think they can definitely make the playoffs. I'm going to look more so at the division now, actually.
Is it winning the division?
As in what it's going to take to win the division.
I don't see that happening anymore. Chicago looks too good, but go ahead.
That's exactly where I'm going. Chicago has beaten so far Indianapolis, St. Louis, Dallas, Jacksonville, Carolina, Tennessee. The remaining schedule: Houston,
tough. Loss.
San Francisco, loss. Seattle, tougher than the experts thought. Detroit, tougher than the experts thought, especially if the Lions are going to have a chance.
It's definitely going to be tough, but you are already how many games back?
And Green Bay at home. They're 6-1,
so we're 2 games back.
They're 6-1. We're 2 games back, and they have 5, maybe 6 possible.
But you got to keep in mind,
losses.
Green Bay can win the division too.
Definitely, and I haven't gone back to Green Bay's schedule yet, so. And I know they've played San Francisco, which...
Well, here's the way I'm looking at it. Like I was saying, this is the way I'm looking at it, guys. Okay. You got... Let's say Green Bay / Chicago wins. Doesn't really matter because the other one's going to take the wild card spot. Do you agree with that?
I agree. I mean...
Okay, so there's your 2. San Francisco's got their division. Let's just go with that right now. San Francisco takes their division. Atlanta takes their division. And who's the other one? New York takes their division. Well, I'll say those are set. And I believe for the most part they are. The wild card goes to Green Bay / Chicago, loser of that. Then you got to compete with Minnesota, as of right now. Minnesota, Seattle, long shot Dallas, not long shot Tampa Bay, but we'll say Tampa Bay, And for the most part, that's probably it. Would you agree? Am I missing anybody?
Yeah, that's about it.
You got the tiebreaker over Seattle. I guess if Philadelphia wins tonight, then you can throw Philadelphia in the mix. But you've already got the tiebreaker over Seattle. If you beat Minnesota, you'll be ahead of them. You may not have the tiebreaker. It's too tough to tell yet. I'm not personally afraid of Tampa Bay. I think 10 wins will get you in. I think you're fighting for the 6th playoff spot again.
Looking at it again, if we've said that 10 wins is going to get us into the playoffs. 10 wins, looking at Green Bay's schedule, I just pulled it up, could still get you to the division. Green Bay, I don't know why they play New York and none of us do, but they still have to play the Giants. They play us twice. So if you can win both those games,
that's a big if
huge
in Lambeau.
Huge if, but it is possible. So if you can win both games in Lambeau, or one game in Lambeau, one game in Detroit, and if Green Bay can lose to either New York, Chicago, Tennessee, or Minnesota one time, they play Minnesota twice, it's going to be tough, but Green Bay...
See, I don't see that one happening. I think, if I had to look at that schedule, Green Bay probably wins at the least one from us, probably both with Minnesota, and that right there makes it tough.
It's going to be tough to win the division, but, I mean, it's...
You know what, though? Like we both said, I think we're both. We said before the show we're both about 40% chance the Lions make the playoffs, which isn't terrible considering the way they started. But here's what I have to say: if this team makes the playoffs, watch out, because that means they're finishing the season 8-2.
Yeah.
Oh well, not necessarily. I guess I shouldn't say that. If you get in with 9 wins, it means you're finishing 7-3, and I'm just going to assume you're not getting in with 8 wins.
Right. It's gonna be a fun end of the season. Hopefully,
as long as they're not losing games, they should.
Yeah.
They should. I should say they should win.
Yeah, but I mean,
these next 4 weeks are very crucial because you need to beat Minnesota. You have to beat either Green Bay or Houston, both home games.
I think you have to beat Green Bay in this next game because
I think you can live if you lose one of the two. Because the way we looked at it is, let's say you lose in Lambeau, and out of those other 4 tough games, you get to lose one home one, and that one home has to be between Green Bay, Houston, Atlanta, and Chicago. I feel the most confident about beating Chicago. Atlanta scares me, Houston scares me, and Green Bay all scares me.
Throwing it out there, two of the remaining 8 games are also primetime games, with a chance of 3 being.
And they're primetime games at home, I believe.
No, Atlanta's at home and Green Bay is on the road.
Primetime game in Green Bay, I didn't realize that.
The Green Bay, that even makes it probably more.
And Chicago's a primetime game too. We have 2 primetime home games remaining.
Yeah, because Chicago's gonna
3 if you can count Thanksgiving. So you know what? Ford Field's going to be a tough place to play for the end of the season.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's hard to say what we're going to get from the Lions on primetime. I mean, they've showed they're really, really good on primetime against Chicago last year, and then they've also showed they've been really, really bad on primetime against the Saints once last year, and then also San Francisco. They weren't horrible against San Francisco this year, as we all remember. It was just lack of play call, basically, that entire game. But the Lions they can't do what they always do. They can't have that loss to the team that we have to beat. So you can't have a loss against Indianapolis. You can't have a loss against Minnesota. Or you can't have a loss against...
I want to do something real quick. I think we're pretty much wrapping it up. Last year, there was comments made about how the Lions like to look at it in 4 quarters. Meaning 4 games, 4 games, 4 games, 4 games. The first 4 games, they went 1-3. Weak. Second 3 games, they went 3-1. Much stronger. Let's take a look at the next 2 quarters. This quarter you have Minnesota, Green Bay, Houston, Indianapolis. You need to go. Let's say you need to go 3-1 in both, or if you go 2-2, you need to go. So 2-2 is what Tom's giving them. I'm going to predict a win at Minnesota. I'm going to loss versus Green Bay and a loss versus Houston and a win versus Indy as well. So I have them at 2-2. And the next half of the season is Green Bay, Arizona, Atlanta, Chicago. And based on our calculations, to make the playoffs, you need to win all of those.
Yeah.
And I'm going loss at Green Bay, win in Arizona, loss versus Atlanta, win versus Chicago.
Yeah.
So I have us finishing the season at 9-7.
Which, honestly, 9-7 could.
You're okay. It could give you a shot.
Yeah. Because we all
9-7 gives you a shot. We're assuming 8-8.
We all thought that the NFC was going to be a lot stronger than what it is this year. I mean, it is a lot stronger as far as depth wise. I
may have had them at 8-8 actually.
But 1-4 in each division, it is a lot stronger. I mean, there's only really one bad team in the NFL right now, in the NFC
Your
right
best
now.
chance, in all honesty, at making it with an 8-8 or 9-7 record is for Minnesota and Seattle both to fall off.
Yeah.
And it's very possible.
Oh, definitely. And if that happens, then your only competition is going to be probably either Dallas or Philadelphia, and the Saints are beating up on
We looked at schedules. Let's take a quick look at those schedules. Minnesota has at home versus Detroit. Like we said, this is pretty much a must-win game.
Yeah.
You win that game, that gives them 3 losses in a row. Then they go to Chicago, tough. Then they go to Green Bay, tough. Versus Chicago, tough. They could go on a big skid here.
Yep.
But then they finish with, no, they got some tough games. 2 against Chicago, 1 in Green Bay, 1 at St. Louis is probably a win, and then 1 at Houston and 1 in, that's a tough finish for Minnesota. And Seattle, pulling that up right now.
Seattle.
Tampa Bay, like I said, is another competitor. But Seattle finishes with New York, Miami, Chicago, Arizona, Buffalo, San Francisco, St. Louis.
That's New York.
Jets, too. Yeah, Jets, sorry. Much easier schedule. Jets probably a win. Miami's probably a win. Chicago's, who knows. Arizona's probably a win. I think Arizona's starting to fall off. Buffalo, they could fall off, but Minnesota's more likely to be the team to fall off. But luckily, they're the one you got the tiebreaker on.
True.
So if you both go 9-7.
However, with this with Seattle, they're already 5-4. You've got win St. Louis, win Buffalo, that already gives them 7 wins. Win Arizona, that gives them 8. Win Miami, that gives them 9. Win New York, that gives them 10. So the tiebreaker really doesn't matter.
No, but you're okay. So you're assuming they win all those games. They could very well lose one of those games.
True.
You assume they're going to probably lose San Francisco.
Basically, what we have to look at is you've got Arizona, who has basically a rookie quarterback, and you've got
we didn't even mention Arizona in the race.
Right.
They seem to be falling off.
Right. So, it's all going to be basically what we're telling the Lions, go out and win. If you go out and win, no one questions. If you finish the season 8-0, no one's going to question.
Okay, yeah, no, Arizona is falling off. They've lost 5 in a row.
Yeah. So the easiest way to get in the playoffs
I believe
is
you
win.
technically control your destiny.
Yeah, you do. And if you need to pull off a win against one of the teams that you're not supposed to beat. The Lions are not good at that.
A couple of them, really.
So far, in this rebuilding process, we have not pulled off a win that we were supposed to win or supposed to lose yet. This is the year that we have to. If you want to make the playoffs, you have to beat a team that you're not supposed to beat. That means you have to beat a Green Bay, or you have to beat a Houston. Maybe even have to beat 2 of them. How much of a motivation would it be if you go out and end Atlanta's perfect season and then go next week to play for the playoffs?
Like I said, if you make it, this is a very, very scary team.
Yeah.
But for the most part, we did our season or our post game.
Let's end it right here. Do the Lions make the playoffs? I say yes. I think they pull it off.
I say no, but if they win next week, I probably move to 50-50, and if they win the next 2 weeks, I probably go to 75. Honestly,
if they win the next 8, I'm going to tell you they're going to make the playoffs.
Well, yes, I agree with that.
I don't think any team's going to catch fire like that. So, but it's going to be fun, like I said, as long as they don't decide to pull a Tennessee game on us or something like that. But I don't see it happening anymore. I think this team's finally starting to see it sink a little bit. You're starting to see the offense.
Things are starting to look better.
Yep. You'd like to see Calvin maybe get a few more touches in the end zone. However, it's going to come. You got to realize that.
And LaShore's opening that up.
Yeah, and you got to realize with the fact that everybody's triple teaming basically Calvin in the end zone when we get close, 9 times out of 10 you're not even going to be able to. Just be happy that we're finding someone else in the end zone. There's so many guys this year that have a touchdown that you wouldn't expect it. Schefter's got a touchdown. Joy Bell's got a few touchdowns.
Yeah. LaShore, Smith, Stafford's been in. Titus Young, Ryan Broyles.
Pettigrew not so much because of the fact that we don't throw to him often. The fact that he caught the ball would be that big.
Well, I'm just saying, I think every real weapon on your team has a touchdown.
Yeah, that was one thing that I wanted to get to actually in this show. I think Pettigrew's really starting to lose his job. I think
it sure looks like they're involving Broyles and Young more.
Well, you're also seeing Schefter out on the floor, Schefter and Hiller on the field a lot more, and I could honestly see if Pettigrew continues to do what he's doing. He had 3 drop passes last game too, and I texted you actually saying I think he's basically losing his job, and Schwartz is getting ticked with him because right after every drop you didn't see him for another 6 plays, 7 plays. But we will be back to pregame the Lions versus Minnesota game.
Big, important game.
Yeah, I think we've said that about every game since week 3.
I've said every game you need to win. This game, I think you lose and you're done. I really believe that.
Yeah. But it is going to be a tough game going to Minnesota, hostile crowd. Their season's basically on the line too with the schedule that we saw. So, but we will be getting to our Pistons preview here
hopefully soon.
Pretty soon. We've both been pretty busy with school and everything, but we do.
I just got my own radio show at Oakland University.
Yeah, so be sure to listen out for that. And we will see you guys for the Minnesota preview. And thanks for listening.